I remembered it. Ellie, maybe see if you know this one. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. No one knows this? Knows? Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Vekaber Tachanunai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Vekaber Tachanunai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Oy vekaber Tachanunai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Oy vekaber Tachanunai. Oy Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Vekaber Tachanunai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Vekaber Tachanunai. Oy Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Hashem, Oimolei Rachamim, Rachem Alai, Rachem Alai. Bum 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 bye 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 bye. Can I put this down here? Is that okay? Yishar Koach Reb Eli B'Yishus, my Abba, who's with us. What a schus. Also, I'm so happy that the head of our Beis Medrash, Rabbi Yosef Bronstein's here with us tonight, and everyone will be able to taste some of his be'er as well. All the Rebbeim, all the precious chaver that we have. I just have to apologize, really. I have not been feeling good this whole week, and so I don't know how much krach. And Aaron, you're gonna have like 3 hours tonight. I'm gonna keep it. No, don't listen. The chaver will be happy. Don't worry. I'm just. Everyone will have 22 minutes. I have such a special shir that I prepared. Honestly, and I know I'm not going to get close to going through it as thoroughly as I would have liked to in order to get to the point of the shir. But I didn't realize how meduyak the title that I chose really is what I'm feeling in my heart, and that is a generation of Arava Jews. Is that what I said? Mashkaza? Dor HaArava, the generation of Arava. So I have to preface by saying like this, is that I'm sure many of you saw you saw a lot of different things this Sukkot, when things go viral very fast. L'tov v'l'ra, for good or for bad. But when we're thinking about this is the day of the Arava, Yom HaArava, even though when you look at the Mishnah, it's very interesting. The lashon of the Mishnah it's called Yom HaShvi'i Shel Arava, which means every day was Arava, had to do with the Arava, and the seventh day is the seventh day of the Arava. It's not just that tomorrow we have a special thing with Aravot. And the Mishnah and the Gemara speaks about why Dafka every day the Arava stood out. It wasn't just that we had an Arava, but it was also there was a massive Arava that was placed also by the Aron. So this day of Arava is not just Hoshana Rabba, it's really the whole door. That's what I'm feeling. It's the whole generation. And we know about Arava is that the Arava is, like someone asked me this week, where is he? Is Pesach here? He'll be up in a second. Pesach said to me a few nights ago, he always asks me these far out questions just out of nowhere. He's like, which species do you identify with tonight? Like, imagine if I said Esrog. Can you imagine if, like, I said to him, I feel like an Etrog, What a Baal Gaiva, right? No. I said to him, honestly...
It's 2023, you can identify.
Emes, Hashem Yirachem. It's kind of what I want to talk about, actually. Hashem Yishmor Aleinu. Hashem Yirachem Aleinu. And I actually said to him the Arava. I had a talk with someone that's sitting at this table without mentioning names. That there was a sense in the air of, we know Sukkot is the highest, Samzman Simchasenu. Someone didn't come to the Simchas Beis HaSheva this week because it said on the flyer, come with joy. And they weren't feeling it, and they didn't come. And I shared with him what I shared with him, and it's really been lingering, and it's been a very real feeling I have this whole week. And I want to speak about a certain aspect of the door of the Arava, the generation of Arava, from a different tzad. Usually we say about the Arava, what defines an Arava is that it doesn't have tam, and it doesn't have reach. The Arava doesn't have taste, and it doesn't have smell. I want to say it a little bit differently. There's a door of an Arava that it has a very potent tam, and it has a very potent reach. But it's not at all the tam and the reach that we want to have anything to do with or be associated with. And what I'm referring to, just in the name of being real with everyone over here, like we always try to do, is probably 6 seconds of footage that I saw today from Rav Leo in Tel Aviv. I'm sure you all saw it by now. The emes is, I don't think the person, the Arava Jew, the Arava Jew that we're trying to define, that Arava Jew I don't think he knew about Leo's personal story or not. I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered to him bichlal. But an Abba that his wife and daughters are shechted last 2 regels ago, Pesach, Chol Hamoed Pesach, is going to sing, Hallel in Tel Aviv, whatever the reasons are, b'hachule v'chule, and that our eyes see such things, it's alluding to a very, very important thing, that message that we have to really open our hearts and try to understand. Ech iganu, how in the world have we reached a place like this in Eretz HaKodesh after thousands of years of being away from Eretz HaKodesh? What happened over here? So sometimes I feel that there's a whole door that had instructions from people that originated in very high and right places, that mashu hishtabesh, something got messed up in the hierarchy, in the top of what the message was supposed to be. And then it trickles down to being able to have situations like we witnessed, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 shuls in Tel Aviv. It was 18 different shuls in Tel Aviv, and it was all over Ramat Sharon, and there was in Haifa, and there was other places as well. That the most anti-Arava in the bad place took place. I'm mechila for saying such harsh words. This is just, I'm not going to pretend that this is not where it's at right now. There's also a Rosh Yeshiva. Was a friend of mine in Tel Aviv. The Rosh Yeshiva, I think he's one of the Rosh Yeshiva there in Yeshivat Orot Shaul. It has there in Tel Aviv. Very special place. Our neighbor's son, Rami Fleischman, goes there. One of the Rabbeim there, his name is Rav Tamir Granot. Rav Tamir Granot is an amazing individual. He's written some of the most incredible works on Emunah in light of the Holocaust, and many other things. He's a big Talmid Chacham and a very special Jew. And he's pleading with the city council of Tel Aviv today that they should allow them to go and do hakafas in the street. There's hakafa shnias. Tzarich iyun, boys. It's like we need to stop this and be like, wait, it's not just Arava. Mele Arava is like that you'd walk around Tel Aviv with the Sefer Torah and no one would care. So that's like an Arava Jew, like ein tam barech. But then there's this whole other world where it's coming from a different place, where it seems that such a massive misunderstanding took place at a certain point, and it's been trickling down for years, maybe slowly, but now it's almost like a boom of the result of what initially may have been some good nekuda tova, which we don't understand exactly because we're so far from that. We're so far from that. We can understand this sugya a little bit if anyone learns Ma'amar Hador of Rav Kook, especially the beginning of Ma'amar Hador of Rav Kook, where Rav Kook, I hope Be'ez Hashem to learn it with the boys this year. We spoke about this in the summer. Ma'amar Hador of Rav Kook explains how Jabotinsky had a concept where he referred to Eretz Am Yisrael as, what was the word? Pe'er. I think he used to use that word all the time, right? We need to restore Pe'er. Pe'er was like glory of a Jew. Mm-hmm. For so many years, anyone that had any type of religious resemblance And they were all shtetl viewed, and the new generation that was done with that, even before the war, couldn't handle anything that resembled the Nebuch Jew that was beaten up by the Poritz. And in the name of something actually very holy, Hadar, sorry, not Pe'er, Hadar, I think, right? Hadar. Hadar was the word. Hadar. So, comes people like Jabotinsky and Begin as well, and they're trying to instill some kind of a new type of Jew is not necessarily disconnected from Torah and mitzvahs, but it's much more that we have to feel proud of what we look like, proud of what we sound like, proud of how we're portrayed in the world. But the Arava generation of today, of course, there are plenty of those that they don't feel anything. But we're not even speaking about that. People are feeling a lot here in Eretz Yisrael. I don't know any Arava Jew in Eretz Yisrael anymore. Arava on the level of, I don't feel anything. Everyone's feeling something. There's a lot of feelings. A lot of very strong feelings. A lot of very strong emotions. But again, at a certain point in time, something in the elite, something lemala sham bashoresh came out, and mashu lo yarad nachon. So too, in the tzad of those that, so to speak, represent Torah as well. So too. The world that also represents Torah, so to speak, at a certain point, there was a nekuda that really started off totally pure l'shem shamayim, without too much thought of later generations. We learned already a few times this year, there were certain decrees Chazal made, where the only reason they made it after Churban Abayis is because they never could have imagined that Galus would have lasted this long. So therefore they made certain decrees that are still shayach till today. Mainly because they just couldn't imagine that such a thing could happen. Let me ask you, friends, what would be if someone came and revealed to us that there's a whole mahalach in our lives? Forget about the other side for a second. Forget about chevra that are bumping into, bothering Leo while he's saying hello. I'm not even talking about that. What would happen if there's a whole tzad of Yiddishkeit, the whole side, that it seems like we meant well, but we made a huge mistake. We just didn't calculate things right. We messed up something. I see your eyes are all like, is he going to start to bring in instruments on Shabbat? No, I'm not talking about these kind of things. Speaking about something much more pnimi about this for a second. Baruch Hashem, I didn't realize how much chevra, and I just printed this, but as you'll see, this is a much longer shir. I want to show you something to explain what I'm trying to say about what the day of Hoshana Rabba is all about. Now, this day of Hoshana Rabba gives us an understanding of the Hoshana that we're davening, and that we're going to be davening tomorrow, greater than ever. I will just add one more thing. With all that very heaviness that I shared with you, I experienced something this morning that I've never experienced in my life. Ever. I'm not using the term lightly. Usually when you go somewhere either without expectations or not really knowing what's waiting for you, sometimes it could be very, very special. Very special. One of the people that's really bringing a tremendous new light to Am Yisrael these days is Rav Dov Zinger, who just opened up his new campus this week in Neve Daniel, Yeshivat Makor Chaim. And together with our dear friends, the Golovenses, Shimon and Esti Golovenses, who lost their son David Nebuch in the army a few years ago, have been launching these massive hallels throughout the country. I think Kimat every Rosh Chodesh, and on Yom Tovim as well. Shimon's asked, we're very, very close. Esti comes to just about every single shir we have here. You know Shimon, he's been around. And it happened that it worked out that for the first time I would go and do the Hallel today for this chevra. I thought it was like a bunch of high school kids. that came to just be with their Rebbe, with Rav Dov Zinger, and they play some instruments and it'd be beautiful. I walked into the great synagogue this morning at 7:15, משהו כזה. 7:30, Hoshana Tefila, go up, sing 2 nigunim. Hundreds of people there at 7:30. 7:45, davening starts. Thousands of people, thousands, I'm not exaggerating, if you saw me the footage. And people that really came to pour out their heart and to really, really, really daven, and then they stayed and learned with Rav Dov Zinger upstairs, and Rav Doron Perez from Mizrahi gave a shiur downstairs in English. So on a bright side, not everything, Chalila, is wrong. Not everything is going the wrong way. But still, I feel like this day of Hoshana Rabba is asking us to see, like, what is the secret behind this very mystical day, Hoshana Rabba, which, as we said before in the Mishnayos, you're not going to find the Gemaras, you're not going to find anything too particular that's going to make it stand out. So I want to just ask that question again. What is the day of Hoshana Rabba all about? And what could it be? What is it like when maybe perhaps something completely went off with all the good kavanas? How do we fix it? What do we do about it? What do we do about it? Especially today in a door that we don't have, despite Rav Steinsaltz's attempt, we don't have a Sanhedrin today. Okay. So, as you see in the first source over here, we really have from the Zohar HaKodesh, we have a connection to this day. It's not the first time the Zohar is the source for things that have become very big in Am Yisrael's calendar. But the first source is the Zohar in Parshas Tzav, Uviyom Shviya Dechag, Hu Siyuma de Dina. The Dina de Alma. Today, the seventh day of, tonight, the seventh day of Chag of Sukkot is the end of the din of this world. That's why you have people that, we start off saying, K'tiva v'chatima tova, then we switch off after Yom Hoshana and we say, Gmar chatima tova, and then even though people have no idea what they're saying, then they say a guten kvittel, or kvitka tova, right? The Zohar HaKadosh says, Upitkin nafke mibei malka. And the letters are written and sent out from the house of the king. Something about today is like the Gmar Chatima Tova. Then Hasidim came and took it and they stretched it out till Chanukah, but we're not going to get there right now. But for now, the Zohar HaKadosh says this is the day, the end of the day of the din of the world. Upitkin nafkin mibei malka. But the Yerushalmi comes and shows us something very interesting. The Yerushalmi in Rosh Hashanah says, there's a pasuk in Yeshaya, Ve'osi yom yom yidrashun, that they will darshan me, they will seek out to me day. Now in Hebrew, modern Hebrew, yom yom means all the time, right? Kidu, Bati elav yom yom, I came every single day. Yom yom, Chazal, the Chazal always darshan, okay, that means 2 different days, yom yom. What are the 2 days that seems to be where there's a calling out more than any other days of the year? Zot Tkiya, the Arava, the Yerushalmi says. Both. The day of the blowing of the shofar and the day of the Arava, the day of today. Pnei Moshe says, Yom shel Tkiya ve'yom shel Arava, shehakol ba'im litparel yachad bebeit HaKnesset. I guess, I don't know, Yom Kippur gets a bad rap here. It's like they're saying, Rosh Hashanah and Hoshana Rabba, that's when people came to shul. It seems everyone comes together, and I just want to encourage everyone to try their best. I know it's a little bit longer than usual. I know there's a chanas for Simchas Torah. I know there's a lot going on. I just want to say we have, our shul has a big shlichus in the world that's larger than any of us, and bigger than what any of us individually could have ever imagined. There will be a lot of people here coming from all over tomorrow, and it's very important that as much as the Chevra that are here, yom yom, not yom yom like this, but yom yom, kmo shetzarich, that we're all together. I'm going to try, bli neder, without any haftachas, making it a little bit shorter. Figured out a few ways to do that. But this is the day we're all coming together, Hoshana Rabba. Now, like I said before, the whole mahalach of this shir is trying to understand what's the pnimius of the day of the Arava, and when did we ever have it before that possibly everyone pashut made a mistake that came from a good place. You've all heard of the Gon Olam, the Rogachover, right? Rabbi Yosef Rosen, the Rogachover, he was the one that gave the Lubavitch Rebbe Smicha. The Rogachover was a Gon Olam, not just in his own times, but he would be comparable to almost any time throughout our history. The Rogachover was not from this world, and he's alive. He was born, I think, in the middle of the 19th century, and he passes away a few years before Rav Kook passed away. So that would be, maybe a few years after. 1938, I think he died. I think he died 3 years afterwards. You could check. Whatever it is, that's the time that he's in. The Gaon Rogachover always gives like one-liners, but he basically tells you, you have to learn through a whole sugya to understand how I got to this one-liner. What we're going to see is mamish, a one-liner out of a letter to explain to us the pnimius of what actually happened on Hoshana Rabba. The first Hoshana Rabba that we had with the Beis HaMikdash. Everything I said to you before about something starting off with a good kavanah, but it ended up being a big mistake, happens in the Torah. And we have a concept like this. What's it called? It's called Par Helem Davar Me'enei HaTzibur. There's a certain korban you have to bring, not when you made your own mistake, but when there was a clear hora'ah from above, from the whole chevra that are sitting and giving hora'ot, and it was a mistake, and there's a certain korban you have to bring. Now, to really get juicier with this shir, there's so many different nafkaminas here, and because of the koyach I don't have in the time that's already, I'm taking from Rav Feigenbaum's time, the whole thing right now is I don't want to get too much in the details of the differences, different types of korbanos, but if you look in Parshas Vayikra, in third source, Ve'im kol adas Yisrael yishgu, ve'nelam davar me'enei hakal, ve'asu achas mikol mitzvos Hashem asher lo ta'asena ve'ashem, ve'noda'a chatat asher chatu aleh, ve'ikrivu hakahal ben bakar lechatat ve'eviu oto lifnei oel moed. What happens if the whole Eidah does something wrong? And they have to bring a certain korban, a par ben bakar lechatat. They have to bring it to the oil moed, and there's a difference there between when a person does an individual chet that's wrong, what you do with the blood, and what happens with the blood when it's kol hakal biyachad, where you spritz the blood. You spritz it onto the aron. The Rambam helps us understand this a little bit. I'm just running through this. The Rambam in Hilchos Shgaga says like this. Very, very clear Rambam, okay? Very clear. Kol davar shechayavin al shigigato chatat kvuah. Im shagigo beis din hagadol behora vehoru lehatira v'shagigu ha'am behora'atan. If the beis din hagadol with the hora'ah they commanded to do something, and they said that something is mutter, v'shagigu ha'am behora'atan, and they made a mistake in what they said. They're good. They're being good Jews. I did what Chazal told me. I'm listening to what they said. Only problem is the Rambam tells us, but it was a shgaga. They made a mistake. But everyone did the right thing. Who here would feel bad if, like, somehow, miraculously, there was insane achdus with all the Hanhaga Rabbanit in Eretz Yisrael, and they all came to a certain conclusion that Echveis, I don't know. Let's give something a little bit out there. No. I want to go a bit more extreme than that, okay? Because we're going to go to the most extreme in a second. Let's say they started saying you don't wear tefillin on Rosh Chodesh. I don't know. Let's just say. Not Rosh Chodesh Shechal B'Shabbos. I'm saying Rosh Chodesh, okay? You don't put a tefillin on. I don't know, something like that, right? But it all came out clearly that this is a hora'ah. Would any of us feel bad if we stopped putting on tefillin on Rosh Chodesh?
No, we're following.
We're fine.
That's what they told us.
This is what they told us, nachon? Ve'achar kach, second line in the Rambam. Ve'achar kach noda lebeit din sheta'u. But then the Beis Din realized, whatever we said, equivalent of whatever, not putting on tefillin, whatever. ואחר כך נודע לבית דין שתו, הרי בית דין חייבים להביא קורבן חטאס על שגיגסון בהוראה. The Beis Din themselves have to bring a קורבן חטאס. ואף על פי שלא עשו הם בעצמם מעשה, let's say, They kept on putting on tefillin every Rosh Chodesh, right? But they told everyone else not to, let's say, right? No, they still have to bring the korban chabad because it was done in their hara, okay? She'ein mashgichin al asiyas based in al based in klal bein asu bein lo asu ela al hora'asan bilvad. Their hora'ah is what's kovea the ma'aseh if you have to bring a korban or not. V'shar am pturim min korban, but the rest of the am is patur. Even though you and I didn't do whatever, but we could be told in Beis Din. Okay? Now this, I just wanted to just explain this a little bit, just explain a mitzius that, did this happen? When has this happened? The person can bring a lot of shgagot. There's 43 different korbanot, the 43 different types of chatas you have to bring on a shgaga. There's 43 different types. But this one's different. This is a different type of korban that the whole head of the class, kivyal, right? They told us to do it, and we don't do it. Yefeh. Now this is much deeper. I want to get straight to the point. When was the first time this really, really, really happened? Big time. It's startling. The first time this ever really, really happened, I'm sure you know this, was the first Yom Kippur that we had Beis HaMikdash. The first Yom Kippur that we had Beis HaMikdash, anyone knows what happened there? We ate on Yom Kippur. Do you know this? We ate on Yom Kippur was canceled. Not the eating aspect of was still a date on the calendar. They didn't jump from Tes to Yud Aleph, but the eating aspect of Yom Kippur was canceled, and it's a crazy sugya. If you look at the psukim I have here, looking in Melachim and in the Gemara and Moed Katan, you look inside, you'll see it. It's wild. It's basically, it was the Chanukah Sabayis. It was that first Tishrei when Shlomo HaMelech, when they finished building Beis HaMikdash, and it's a long sugya, and it is for now, but it's also not for now, because I want to get to really what the point of all this is. It came to them, though, right away, Ne'elam, they realized right away the conclusion we had to be matir eating on Yom Kippur after everyone did it was pashut a mistake. It was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. Now, two things are just incredible about this. You'd think you'd step down if you ended up being part of a chavura that ended up being matir to eat on Yom Kippur. That's one thing. Beis, you'd probably find another religion if you were part of that first group of Yidden that on their first Yom Kippur end up eating and then are told, we made a mistake. You'd be like, I need more reliable authority. I probably need people that know a little bit better what they're talking about. Nachon? Turn the page. I'm going to go right to the end. You all know the Sefer Igros HaReaya. Nachon? Those are the beautiful letters. The letters that are filled, I remember in our first shir that we did with the Kolel Chavra, we spent, Eli, I sent it to you, I think, right? Tzadik Hey, Igeres Tzadik Hey. We thought we were going to spend just like 20 minutes showing an Indian of Rav Kook speaking about Pnimius HaTorah. I think we had to stop after 2.5 hours of just going through one letter of Rav Kook, describing Pnimius HaTorah. So the Igros, the letters of Rav Kook, are magical. There's another sefer. I don't have it. If anyone, do you have this, Rabbi Yosef, this sefer? There's a sefer called Igrot L'Reaya. Not letters from Rav Kook, letters to Rav Kook. Letters to Rav Kook from a bunch of the Gdolim of the generation. Now listen to this. This is a crazy letter. Igros L'Reaya, Michtav Meis Hagon, Rav Avram Diamant L'Rav Kook. He says to him like this. Ve'agaon pe'er hador, Rabbi Yosef Razim. That's all right, that typo. Kasavli, he's referring to Hoshana Rabba. Shebeyom zeh hikrivu b'yimei Shlomo par helem davar shel tzibur al shigigas hara sheharu Shlomo ubeis dino b'chanukas beis hamikdash lehafer toras hatzom kamavur b'moed katan aleph v'tau b'zeh. The Rogachover, through the whole Mahalach that we didn't go into right now, The Rogachover, and it's an amazing thing, this is not found in any of the Rogachover's Svarim. It must have been a hidden piece of Torah or something, because usually, when you write something like this, you could find it inside one of the Svarim. Shum davar. It's not written in any of the Svarim. It says like this. The Rogachover says, I did a cheshbon. And again, it's too much details for right now, but he basically said, by the time that they realized, in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, that they made a mistake and they allowed that Yom Kippur to have food and drink, they did a cheshbon now. And when did it come out that they brought this par ha'elem shel tzibur that we spoke about in the beginning? When did it come out? It came out Hoshana Rabba. Okay, so now let's go deep inside. What is it saying to us about Hoshana Rabba? What are we screaming when we're saying Hoshana lemancha Elokeinu Hoshana? Hoshana lemancha boreinu Hoshana. What are we actually asking for? Hashem, give me parnasa. And I think we've had a lot of those. You could tell which shul you're davening in, which Avinu Malkeinu is the loudest, right? Some shuls, Kosveinu b'sefer parnasa v'chalkala, everyone's screaming and screaming their brains out. That's funny. I just this reminds me of something I told the Chevra a few years ago. You could really tell about which Avinu Malkeinu is most dearest to you. It's very telling. There's a very beautiful, special Yid, a Rav in Melbourne, Australia. His name is Rav Mordechai Schmerling, a genius. I had the schus of spending Rosh Hashanah with him one of the years that I was there. And I knew that he didn't grow up Lubavitch. He was one of these mamish mad scientists, genius. Somehow he got turned on to the Raba. I don't know exactly what the story was, but this will help us understand. He said like this. One year, when he was, looking into shuls and seeing where are people holding, he said he went into a bunch of shuls, and what's the nigun that they sing for Avinu Malkeinu? That one, Avinu Malkeinu, right? That very famous Avinu Malkeinu. Yeah, there's so many beautiful renditions. I don't know if you ever saw Yehoshaphat, that's his Hebrew name. Amari Stoudemire's son doing the rendition in English. Did you ever see him doing this? I'm sorry for all I did wrong. That's Amari's son.
Wow.
Anyway, good Purim. Yeah, that's Amari's son. Yeah, you guys didn't see it? Some of you said, you have to see this. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable. He's crying. I'm sorry for all I did. I promise to be better. So sincere. It's like an amazing tikkun. Amari Stoudemire's son is the one that's Machzir Atar Leyoshnev Avinu Malkeinu. But he said he went to a bunch of shuls, and then he went to a Chabad shul, and he said they sing another nigun. And then he paid attention to the words. By Chassidim, what do they sing? They're singing Ein Lanu Melech Ela Ata. When it comes down to it, they're singing about the Melech. The rest of the Olam, Chaneinu Vaneinu Ke'en Banu Ma'asim Asayim Manu Tzedakah V'Chesed V'Yishinu. It's a big mussar. It's a very, very deep thing. Very precious thing. Listen, I'm sure there's Lechan, just pointing out what sticks out to a person. Because we're saying, tonight, tomorrow morning, especially Hoshana, like I shared with the Chevra yesterday, those few seconds, the first few seconds I ever saw Rav Shlomo daven, when he was screaming, Hoshana, lemancha, lekeinu, Hoshana, it changed my life completely. It gave me life. It set me on a path that, Be'ez Hashem, I should be zocher to walk on the rest of my life, please God. Hoshana lemancha lekeinu Hoshana. What are we really davening this Hoshana Rabba? Based on what we just learned. If the first par ha'elem shel tzibur was mukrav on the first Hoshana Rabba, it seems to me that the pnimius of Hoshana Rabba, based on how the Rogachover darshan did out, is that we're all at a situation that none of us have any idea anymore what to do and what's right and what's wrong. Because apparently, almost anything you try to do in the world is me'orah, some kind of a tar omes by somebody else. It awakens some kind of a thing. I remember after Raba performed in the garden, I saw all these different horrible things written about how could people call this a Kiddush Hashem? There were men and women there. And then I just wrote something small about what a schus it is to know that Rabbi Nachman of Breslov existed, and there's a Torah Reish Pei Beis that speaks about Nekudos Tovas. What an amazing thing that we could choose right now to be a Breslover just for this Indian and focus on the fact that thousands of Jews were singing together in Chodesh Elul in a place that the last thing that has to do with Shem Hashem usually takes place at those concerts in that arena, right? And I had a typo. So I got this message from someone who said, other than the fact that you have to put an H, I should have sent it to Rav Eli or to your mother, they would have fixed it. Aside from putting an H in weather, I forget what it was, regardless, I still disagree with you. Anything you try to, it's just crazy, anything you try to say, because at a certain point, there must have been some kind of a shgaga. It has to be. I love the fact that everyone always talks about their shul. You have Shtreimels, you have Chilonim, Datiim, Ashkenazim. It's funny. Everyone speaks about their shul. All types of Jews. You'd think with all the achdus and types of Jews that show up in all these different minyanim, it seems pretty weird that that's not really the sense we're getting, in the world. And I think it's because in the pnimius of Hoshana Rabba, the screaming of Hoshana is Ribbono Shel Olam. In the shoresh. And this is brought down in the Likutei Halachos by Reb Nosson, based on Reb Nachman. Hoshana Rabba is touching on the shoresh habriya, even. In the root of something. Our tzaddikim had the best intentions. And even those that weren't tzaddikim, that came out with certain things that they felt was necessary, especially in a dor after 6 million Jews were shechted, they felt maybe something has to be a little bit different. I can understand that as well. However, it's trickled down to a situation, to a metzias, that every Jew has to scream out, Hoshana lemancha elokeinu Hoshana. Go back to what you really meant and your real kavanas when you gave us the Torah. Go back to the real kavana you had when you decided to create man. Go back, Ribbono Shel Olam, to the real Indian of when you told Avram Avinu, Asher Ar'eka. Let us go back to the beginning of what the ikar and simple kavana was in all those statements. Because it's trickled down to places that it's just too wild, it's too crazy. It's too nuts. It's just too much. It's too much. I can't, out of all the nightmares I've ever had, not that I've had a lot, those 7 seconds of Leo today are messing me up. Big time. They're messing me up big time. And we know, and we believe fully, in the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, where the Baal Shem Tov says if HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want you to see something, and it had no shaykhs to you, guess what? You wouldn't see it. We're living in a door that apparently we're shaykh to almost everything, because we're seeing it all. We're seeing everything. We're seeing it all. So in the schus of the Kedusha of this day, of this, back to the Zohar HaKodesh, in the first, right? Upitkin nafke me Bei Malka. What should be the petek that comes out of Bei Malka? What should be the petek that comes out of the house of the king? Right? This chasima, this sealing, is that I'm not coming out with saying, now I know exactly what to do this year to keep my fire going, Hashem, other than going back to you all year long and saying, Hoshana lemancha elokeinu Hoshana. Hoshana lemancha doshenu Hoshana. Because we probably have to bring tons of Par Helim Shel Tzibur. We probably have to bring a bunch of these. Mistama. It must be like this. But to end all this, and I don't think this was pessimistic, I think this is just the Nekuda Pnimis of the Rogachover pointing out, based on the Cheshban, this is when it happened. It happened on Hoshana Rabba, when we first came to, back in Eretz Yisrael. 300 years later, we're building Beis HaMikdash, and now, it's starting to really take place. So we're back. It's only 75 years, what is it, 75 years, 76 years? 75, so 75 years. We say that, Anu Yameinu Ketzei Lover, our days passed like, just like this. It brings me more and more to the shlichus of our shul. It brings me more and more to the shlichus of every person that's here. Every person that comes and davens in here. Every person that comes and learns here. Every person that comes here and just opens their heart and is looking for something a bit more than whatever is outside, that the shlichus on us has to be that when I open my arms to someone else that comes here, it's not that I'm telling them, here we have it right. I hate when people say that. Here we have it down right. No. The one thing we have down right here is that we're aware that I have to scream Hoshana lemancha Elokeinu Hoshana. Maybe that's the one thing we have down right here. That's the nekuda of Hoshana Rabba. Maybe that's why Hoshana Rabba by us in the shul has been such an Evan Yesod. How do you say that in English? Cornerstone. It's like a foundation of the binyan, And I just will say one more thing, that the last time I had the schluss of davening that I remember with someone whose name is always in this binyan is Nachum Shimon ben Yitzchak Aryeh, is with Toby and Dov's Abba and Tamar's Abba, where we davened one year Hoshana Rabba in Gan Tzvika. We were already getting a little bit mechila. We were already growing out a little bit of Beit Stone. It was impossible to do it there, I think.
It was even before Beit Stone.
It was before Beit Stone. And there was, I don't know, when you share Hoshana Rabba moments with people, you feel less lonely in the world. So like I told a friend of mine this week, all of us are lonely, but my Rebbe's always said, let's just be lonely together. That's what it boils down to. Let's just be lonely together, and let's scream Hoshana lemancha, for your sake, Hashem. Not so that I could be, Yotzei, and I can make sure I bring the right korban. Hoshana lemancha Elokeinu Hoshana, so that we can be able to really bring you nachas and to be part of Uvachein Tein Kavod Hashem La'amecha. Bam 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 bam. Ay 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 ay. Bam 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 bam. Hey da 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 la 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 la. La 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 la. Ay ma 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 ma. La 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 la. Bam 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 bam. La 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 la. Hey la 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 la. Good to see you. Great to see you. Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam.